Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Average Superstar TV. I'm your host, Lauren Lepre. I'd like to welcome you to the first ever month in review, which that's pretty much exactly what it's going to be. We're going to review the first month of January of 2025. Safe to say it wasn't exactly quiet. January always seems to be a long-ass month to begin with. Please hit that subscribe button. And if you comment, good or bad, I swear I'll respond to it. So with that, we're going to go around the room and welcome my guests. We got Dave from Horror Year Round returning for like the 10th time.
Has it been 10 times? It feels like 20.
All right. Well, I just did a wild guess. I don't actually have that written down here in front of me, but
it has been a long month.
And it's still not over technically. We're recording this on the 28th, so
a couple more days. We'll see.
I hear you. And also returning to the podcast is Ross from Planet X Films.
Yes, sir. Ross Tracy, Planet X Films. I'm the host of the Zodiac Files, true crime series on YouTube. One of 2 EPs on Camera X. I'll give the details to our host, Lauren, here.
Camera X trailer drops this Tuesday at 8 p.m. This show will drop Monday morning. So, yes, if you're hearing this, go to YouTube and look up Camera X trailer. I promise you got something different coming. So with that, we're going to start jumping into our topics because nothing's boring these days. So let's start off. Some of these are just pop and some of these are just pure negative. So I guess we're going to start off with the negative part. Believe it or not, this is already a month old. The New Orleans driver that ran down people. I mean, wow.
I almost forgot about that.
Isn't that amazing? Because it seems like that's the first thing I want to bring out of the gate. Anytime there's a tragedy like this, it's like, I don't want to say it's a Republican Democrat thing because that's coming up obviously later, but it just seems like when the government screws up or there's failure to protect, it's like news for like 2 days, and it's like, don't bring that up again. We didn't, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I guess right out of the gate here, we looked at this guy's history. It looked like again, according from what the info I got, this is a guy that actually was talking about doing something like this. He was making posts and nobody did anything. And I just think I think we need to actually, everybody talks about laws. I think there should be this, like, if you're make a threat like that, I think they could quarantine. I think you should just be like quarantined for 2 days. Like if you even say it screwing around, like, yo, man, because like this is bad. And it's one of those things where you talk about the guy did have a gun too, but his primary way he killed people was he just ran everybody over. And it was really freaking scary if you saw that footage. Mm-hmm. So when you're talking about gun control and all that, which I'm not for, I'm very big on the Second Amendment, especially as I get older in this life. But that wasn't a gun. There's always a way. Crazy is crazy. Yep. What do we do to take? And honestly, I don't have all the answers here, so this is just why I got a few other people here to talk to us. Dave, what's your thoughts on this? Yeah, I know, Dave.
You got it all figured
out. Your thoughts on this and like solutions?
I mean, it always, anytime something like this happens, it always goes back to, the left wants to make it about guns, the right wants to make it about mental health. And to your point, there's a lot of like arguing and debating and people yelling on social media, and then after a couple of days, it's kind of forgotten, rinse, repeat, happen again. And both of those, I think, are valid conversations to have, but we never follow up on them. And I think, I don't think anyone would disagree with you that like someone's making threats like this, it should be acted upon. I think if anything, it reveals what I've been saying. This is just my personal philosophy that we are the rudderless ship, that the conspiracy is that there isn't one, and that it's far more incompetence than it is maliciousness. That the reason they don't do anything about it is they don't have the manpower to, and that we really are kind of on our own. Not to start off too dark and depressing.
Well, it is. Listen, this is what is on the agenda. This is what happened to us in America. I mean, I'll obviously, if there's a world event too, I mean, I would put that on the list, but I just think things like this need to be talked about. And if what you're saying, we're on our own, that really backs up my Second Amendment that support.
It does.
Yeah.
And you know, they say, oh, the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun, which on paper, yes.
Mhm.
I also think that we get caught up in extremes because you get the whole, like, both sides kind of want to put everyone in a box. You're either on this extreme or this
Mhm.
extreme. And it's like, people who are in favor of, you know, Second Amendment, I'm all for, but do you believe in private ownership of nuclear weapons? Most people would say probably not, which means there is a line. We need to argue and figure out where that line is.
Mhm.
But
I think this really does go down to mental health, because
100%.
for you to just pick them, like, I don't know them. Maybe on, like, next week, if you were around your right state of mind, your best friend you might have just ran over, like your future best friend.
Yeah.
Like, to just say they'll do. I don't know how. I understand if you I hate to say, but I understand if you have such hatred for a particular person and there's a crime of passion, that I could actually say I understand. Not that I've done it or plan to do it, but
that we can prove.
yes. But just to say, like, them, innocent people. Where do you, how? I don't know how, where your mindset is.
They're not in the right frame of mind. But again, you know, like I was saying, we don't follow through with it. For every liberal I hear saying it's about guns, I hear a conservative say it's about mental health. But then I don't see those same conservative politicians doing anything about mental health. Like, okay, that's great. What are we going to do about it?
I think George Carlin made a good point about the mental health thing. Is there's no profit in that. It's just
there's none.
Money. So they're never really planned to fit. I hate being like the negative Nancy. They don't plan to do that, like homeless and fix that.
Well,
and I think we should. I think if we're funding Ukraine and whatever, I won't up getting to that yet. But like, why are we funding death when, like, we could take care of this here and have a less, you know, incident? Like take the odds down of. But, you know, like, we gotta, when people are saying we gotta take care of it's not just so much America first, but it's also one of them, like, this is public safety, man. This is public safety, and I don't think there's a price on that in my eyes. You know, Ross, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, you know, since I do, you know, true crime cases of the late 60s, you know, people always hit me up with every kind of event, and I really don't follow current events like that, at least not lately, but you know, I can definitely weigh on this. So, you know, I live in Southern California, like Lauren. I'm a massive, you know, Second Amendment proponent. So, you know, somebody drives a car into a crowd at an event that I'm at, you know, it's going to go quite differently. You know, my audience kind of knows you know, I've brought some of my guns to the range. Some of it's on the YouTube, so it's not really a big secret. So I think, you know, Lauren and I kind of have, you know, a hard line on this type of stuff. Yeah, it's interesting that the guy had a, you know, gun, or, you know, made gun threats, whatever. I agree with Lauren. You know, I think that at the very bare minimum, if not a quarantine, I think you need a visit from law enforcement, or, I mean, you know, you go on Twitter, X, wherever, and you make a threat against the president, you know, the FBI shows up and knocks on your door. I really don't. Obviously, the FBI might not have the resources to do this to every person, but going back to how Lauren started this trend, because we've seen it countless. Again, the shooter in Tennessee recently, the school shooter, that when Trump got shot, the Trump shooter, there is actually a pattern of these people going and making these public statements. And then Lauren said they finally act on it. And, you know, everything is just too slow to respond. So definitely a major public safety concern. What you guys alluded to is what I'm surprised doesn't happen is, you know, back in the days, turn of the century, you know, and this obviously didn't work out well, which is why things changed. But people just had any, you know, anything society deemed a problem with your personality or behavior, you got thrown in the loony bin, locked up, and thrown away the key. And that obviously didn't work. But what surprises me is the fact that, like you guys said, there's no money in it. In America, we don't tend to see any sort of solution or the illusion of a solution without it being profitable. I'm surprised that they just don't privatize the insane asylums the way that they privatize prisons. And there you go. There's the, there's the money, the more people you lock up and throw away the key. So yeah, it's crazy that it's 2025. And, as Dave said, we really haven't, I'm kind of hardline on Second Amendment. I support, background checks and all that stuff. I mean, obviously anybody, like Lauren said, if you have this sort of pattern in your social media or whatever, these massive red flags in your kind of psychological profile, then absolutely no, you should not own a gun. And then on the second half of that, I know this is getting away a little from the topic, but, when the liberals try to draw the line on AR-15s, it doesn't make sense to me because, Lauren knows where I'm from. I'm from northern New England, 1776, where the revolution started. There's literally people in the town that I'm from, where I was born, that dropped what they were doing, jumped on their horses, and went down to Lexington and conquered. So that's kind of just like embedded into my DNA. So when they say like you can't own an AR-15 because that's outside of the Second Amendment, it's like, well, Lauren's a big fan of Red Dawn. You bring up, a Red Dawn or a Chinese ground invasion scenario. Am I really going to be waiting for my local police station to come to my house and defend me from a foreign invasion? So that and I have pistols, but we get invaded with, jets and tanks. Kind of that's where the gray area is there. You're
right. And also, one of the gray areas is what I said at the very beginning. Though it's like, okay, you want to ban AR-15s. If you still got a pistol, you're still going to do damage to people. I don't understand by banning one particular assault rifle is going to do anything. But the thing that scares me about this is this is a guy with a car. You know what I mean? This is what he did.
Anyone can have a car.
Anybody.
Get a license, right? So you're going to ban driver's licenses? That's
what's
what
the difference.
You don't even need a license to drive a car. Anyone can just get in the car.
That's true.
It's obviously a different scenario, but somebody could just grab a steak knife anywhere and just take a chance. It's like, I'm going to try to stab as many people as I possibly could. Like, crazy is crazy.
The world is chaos. I've been saying, why do you think I have such a dark sense of humor? Because I realized the world is chaos years ago.
That's how you survive with it.
So I just laugh at everything to cope.
Yeah, 100%. And I think a lot of us are doing that. And going back to Lauren's point, so the United Kingdom, they banned guns, but knife crime in London is through the roof. Australia banned handguns and firearms. Crime didn't coexist, low level of gun ownership in Canada. So people bring up these examples, but it's not really apples for apples with the American population. Like, banning guns is going to make like crime go away. Like, that's just not how it works, like Lauren was just saying. So
crazy is crazy, and they're always going to find a way. I did like what you said, Ross, though, about who knows in time if it'll be like the prison system. Like, you're deemed crazy, they'll make money off the taxes. Like, yeah, get them off. Like, I don't know. Maybe we are.
It went from the one extreme to the other, and
right.
You start doing. Look, I used to be a history teacher. Everything is cyclical. You start doing that again, it's going to work for a while, and then eventually it's going to turn into incentivizing locking up anyone in the asylum because it's profitable, and then you're going to go too far the other way, and then they're going to say, oh, we got to release them, and then everything repeats.
100%, which is what the U.S. prison system became, right? Once there was money in it, it was, any guy with a gram of cannabis in his pocket, it became too unreasonable. But, maybe a solution is like, what I referred to, which is the mental health clinics, but actually not privatized, that way it's like, because once people start making money out of it, like Dave said, it becomes,
it incentivizes
Yeah. It's like, this guy tweeted, you're going to the loony bin. It's like, maybe it was just my opinion on some political issue. Now, going back to what Lauren said, open threats against, I'm going to do this to a crowd. The Paddock thing in Vegas, was never fully explained. So even recently, very recently, going back to only a few years, we just have too many examples of this in the U.S. and something needs to be done. And as Dave was saying, I don't really hear any good, even a path to a solution from right or left. That's just not. I mean, we got a lot more other things going on in you know, our current event politics. But
all right, moving on to topic number 2. I'm picking on the Golden Globes. I realize the Oscars have just been announced as well.
We can kind of talk about them both together.
Okay, so we are going to do this. So I'm going to start with a statement of why is there even an award show this particular year? Could we really name a movie? Like, could you name 3 movies that were just out of this world that we're going to remember forever that happened? Because I believe movies are just horrible these days. They're poorly written. A lot of them are written by children. A lot of them had that DEI thing going on. But I just think there's a lot of these people, and Dave's somebody I know could capitalize on what I'm saying here. So a lot of these writers that don't know history, they just don't know their history. And I just think like they're writing for like their age bracket of like 38 and under, but they're not realizing like they're missing like all these key points also pertain to the older audience, middle audience, and this, like, you only know what you saw. So these scripts are just coming out bad. So with that, I got to seriously ask, what was the best movie that everybody ranted about besides Dune? What was the super blockbuster this year? Why are we having an award show?
Are we talking what was the big blockbuster or what was the best movie? Because those are 2 very different things.
Go with both. You tell me, like
So,
you know, once in a while we get like those, we get the Avatars or the Dances with Wolves or the Forest.
Yeah, and Dune was that, or the closest thing we had to that this year.
That's why I said
Dune.
it. Yeah.
Dune was amazing. Love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I would even, and I'm a little biased, I know, because you know I'm a horror fan. I run a horror channel. Nosferatu was a masterpiece. And it did commercially well. Like it I think I just read it made like double or triple its budget of like $50 million, which for an esoteric historical horror film that's like slow paced and that's like to that level of detail, those movies don't make. The Witch didn't make that much money. The Lighthouse didn't make that much money. The Northman didn't make that much money. Robert Eggers made those movies. But Nosferatu did, which is why I'm happy to see. I agree with you in the general trend, but again, I'm a little biased because this year horror movies are actually nominated in some categories, so I'm actually kind of happy about that.
What's nominated that's a horror movie besides Nosferatu? But is the Substance? I know was up.
So Substance is up for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress. Nosferatu's up for like cinematography, costume design, makeup, and then Alien Romulus is up for Best Visual Effects, which I disagree with. I strongly disagree with because of the weird deep fake Ian Holm. I strongly disagree with that nomination.
Yeah, so, I don't know how that could get it over Dune Part 2. That doesn't even make sense.
No.
I just literally got to start over where I say, why are we having an award show in Alien?
Okay, fair enough.
Wow, like the set design was good and the ship and the score, but like what a human shit of a story. Like it was oh my gosh. And I have to go with the Substance too. Like Dave, you know me, I'm like we talked about that. I like that. It's a cool, but we're down to this. This is all that we can nominate. Something with a ridiculous third act like this. This is what I'm talking about. That we don't.
I know. We had this debate in an earlier video.
Yeah.
Well,
what are your thoughts on this? Because you know my species, but like really, like if you're the guy that one of the main people running, don't you just look at the movies this year and be like, oh gosh, maybe this could be a 10-minute show and we could just
fast forward it. It's a commercial. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Just give it all to Dune.
I mean, you guys, I agree with what Dave said there. I mean, Lauren knows me. I'm a Dune fanboy, read all 6 books, played most of the video games. I knew about Dune way before the Dune 1 remake. I mean, rest in peace to David Lynch. Laura and I even talked about the original Dune. Yeah, Laura and I even talked about the original Dune, which I also like. I know people kind of skewer it for whatever reason. I'm not as deep into the horror as you guys are. I did catch Nosferatu. Wasn't really my cup of tea. I definitely appreciate like what Dave liked about it. Of course, like amazing editing. I love the black and white, first of all. I'll get that right off the rip. But yeah, I could see it getting like set design and costume and stuff like that. I mean, let's talk about Denis Villeneuve not being up for Best Director on Dune Part 2.
That is a crime against humanity.
Understand how that's possible when you put Alien Romulus up for some other stuff. This isn't the same planet. Like those two don't gel. Laura and I did it our top 5.
It's all because of Emilia Perez.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with.
Is there politics here, Dave? Because that doesn't jump out at me what you're saying.
Oh yeah, no. So Emilia Perez, it's up for 13 awards at the Oscars. It's tied for the second most nominations. Now I have not seen it. It is a musical about a character. It's a musical about a character who transitions from male to female. Now here's why it's interesting.
And that's why they gave it 12 awards, huh? Nominations.
But here's the thing, though. No one actually likes this movie because apparently, and I can't speak for any community I'm not in, but from what I have read, the trans community hates the movie. It's set in Mexico. The Mexican community, which I can speak to, hates the movie. And conservatives hate, like everyone hates this movie. And the only reason that they're nominating it is so that the upper class white liberal Academy members can pat themselves on the back and say, we nominated this, even though the people from the very group you're supposed to be like championing for don't like it.
Yeah,
so that's another reason I crap all over this, because to top it all off, like I'm not all into like I'm into what to me it's like they're just trying to be current when you say that. Like, okay, you know, and everybody matters. That's great, but like nominate a good trans movie then. If everybody across the board's not liking this movie, there's no other trans movie you could throw in there.
If I may, there's a trans character in Monkey Man, which I told you about, Lauren, on our top 5s. And yeah, I think that was a much better representation of Indian culture. Now, that's never going to get brought up in the same breath because Monkey Man's a fighting movie where people get their faces bashed in and blood splatters all over the room. So it's like in their minds, there's always talk about them adding like that best stunt category,
which they should.
Action movies get totally underrated in these types of things, Golden Globes or Oscars. They just never get brought up. I think that's why Furiosa probably won't do much. I mean, I wouldn't say it was like the best Mad Max ever, but I could definitely see it getting like, you know, sound editing, same type of thing.
I don't think it was nominated for anything.
The vehicles were incredible. I guess that would be part of set design. I don't really know how it's differentiated, but yeah, I mean, Dune 2, obviously I really loved. Once Lauren says name 3, then things get a little bit tougher because it was just kind of
Dune 2, and then I can't think of it.
Do you remember like the year the Sixth Sense came out, and you had like the Haley Joe going against like Michael Clark Duncan in The Green Mile, and like the other 3 nominated were like these $250-300 million like profit films. It was just like there was times when we'd watch these shows and like everything was like a WrestleMania card. There was no dudders. It's like they're stretching.
1994. The Best Picture nominees were Quiz Show, Pulp Fiction, Forrest Gump, and The Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
I forget the 5th one, but that was a hell of a lineup.
Yeah, that's when it's actually hard.
There's no loser there. And like, when's the last time we've had that? We just said
1994.
You went from that to Alien Romulus. Guys, that's what we're at in this world right now.
Yeah. I mean, and as Lauren and I said, the problem with Alien Romulus, so it did well, like Lauren said in our top 5 video. So the last 2 articles I saw, and I want to get off this, but the last 2 articles I saw was Alien Romulus sequel, Lauren, with Ripley reprising her role. I don't know if that's true or not. And then Ridley Scott got so excited he started talking about a Covenant sequel, which he brings up stuff and then he backs off of it so fast. But when he sees money coming in, that's usually when he starts to mention things like Gladiator.
He's like 90, and Gladiator 2 was bad enough.
I heard it was not good. I haven't seen it, but I'm obviously a fanboy of 1.
This is like when I crap on everyone. It's like they got the property. Disney got the property and says, "Well, we gotta make money off this." Well, like maybe it's just not the time yet. Sometimes things need to go away for like a decade, and like you could do all. No, what I want to see. This is coming from a guy with a giant Alien and Predator tattoo on his back and loves those franchises. But like, I like to see an Alien franchise without a damn droid. Nothing to do with the Whalen Company. Like, give me a side story over here.
Yeah,
and like,
I mean, you have the whole universe, right? It should be easy to do.
You don't got to do an explorer thing with it. Like, hey, there.
I want to. Lauren knows I'm not really like the big Marvel guy, but I am like hardcore into like some of the original vigilante characters: Punisher, Blade, Deadpool, Wolverine.
Cable.
Yeah, of course, Cable. Deadpool, Wolverine. Could have been a lot better. It really could have been that epic when we're like, hey, what was the big smash? I mean, it made money, obviously, but like from our opinion, like what do we actually like? Could have been a lot better. So like, I'm sure Kurosawa, Lauren. So Reynolds tweeted at one point that like one of the early scripts of Deadpool and Wolverine was like a Rashomon style, where they go on this adventure and like half of it is from Deadpool's perspective and half of it's from Wolverine's perspective. That actually sounded way better than what we got. Of course, we know that these movies go through like 10 or 20 rewrites. And obviously Deadpool and Wolverine was very clearly a movie developed during the writer's strike. That was quite apparent from watching it because it just went in all these totally random directions and never really tied it together. So
I'm not the world. I'll be that guy. I'm not the biggest Deadpool fan, but once you put Logan in there, I had to watch it.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, there was obviously some history I'm not going to know because I didn't see the first 2 previous movies, but we all know once you saw Blade and the rest, like I didn't need to see anymore. Like I like this movie. Like,
same.
And the whole idea of like the garbage 20th Century Fox character, I was like, this is something different. I'm all about this.
Yeah, for sure.
It was an excellent dessert. It had all the cameos, all the sweets and treats, but there's no real substance there. Like there's no good home cooked meal with it. And I'm not saying it's a bad. I love Deadpool and Wolverine, but it's a dessert.
I don't remember the third act. I just remember that.
Exactly. And the weirdest thing, watch it again at home and feel how awkward it is every time a cameo pops up. The movie stops for a second because they were waiting. Audience is going to clap, but it's weird. And it's like watching Friends without the laugh track. It's just awkward when they all stop.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it just wasn't what it could have been. And like I think the high point was Deadpool 2, which obviously had Josh Brolin's Cable in it. Brolin said that he would quit acting if Denis wasn't up for Best Director, and he tweeted, "Well, I guess I'm quitting acting now."
Is he going to put his money where his mouth is?
just like all the celebrities are going to leave the country if Trump won, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's going to do that until the next script with the paycheck comes into his mail, and then
funny. But the closing statement before we jump next topic, there shouldn't be an award show. I'm sticking by that until. I just think you have an award. Yeah,
maybe there's too many.
We got to get our movies back to making sense. We just got.
Yeah. It's tough to do without good movies, unless it's the Razzies. You can celebrate the bad ones all year long.
They should just call it the Razzie, the Golden Razzie Awards. That'd be great. They should merge. If there's not enough good movies, you merge them to the Razzies.
Yeah. If you're going to do the few good ones, then you do the many bad ones.
Yep. All right. The next topic is something that I am not on, but it is a very current topic. TikTok. Not my world. Anybody who's ever trying to reach me, I'm an Instagram, Facebook guy. I never jumped on this. I did not like all the privacy rules. And I just, every time I would see one of these videos, it was some kid dancing with bunny ears. I was just like, I don't think I'm missing anything here. But with this going on here, let's break this down. So there was a talk of a TikTok ban, and then it was banned for like 6 hours, and now it's, I think, temporary reopened.
When it's postponed it for they need a U.S. company to buy it, and Microsoft, I believe, was the one talking about doing it now or something.
I thought Elon, I thought Apple, and I heard somebody else was like, I thought with the talks in there, but I
Apparently
think
it's Bill Gates.
well, he's got the check for it, but that's for sure. But one of the things I got to say about this is I get when they're talking about the spying and all that. I get it, but I also think there's a subtext of Zuckerberg's America and Elon's, I just think when it comes down to it, they don't like that it's another country keeping an eye on our people. I just think that's all it really comes down to.
I get it in theory, I don't like the idea of, the government telling me what apps I can or can't have. Just as a general practice, I don't like that. I can say that TikTok, is it a net positive or a net negative? It's probably a net negative. And I say that as someone that Halloween year round does have a TikTok. I use it for when I do like trailer reactions or like first out of theater reactions to movies. I do a video of like 60 seconds, and I'll do it as a YouTube short. I'll do it as an Instagram reel and a TikTok. I'm putting it out there. I don't consume TikTok. I put things out there for other people to waste their time consuming.
Gotcha.
But
okay, sorry, go ahead. Keep
but
going.
It seems a tad bit hypocritical because you're right. It's like they're all spying on us. And it's like, is it that like, yes, it's a different country, but if you're saying that we got to ban it because it's spying on us, Twitter and Facebook are doing the same thing. Let's not pretend that it's not all the same bad thing. It's just different on who's controlling it.
I think it's all it is, controlling. Like we can't tell China what to do. Like we could walk into Facebook and be like, "Yo, Zuck, what the hell's going on here?" Like,
Twitter and Facebook are U.S. owned, so it's kind of a clear difference there.
Like I don't know what Snapchat. Like I don't know who's like and all that other stuff. Like once you start going down the line, I don't know who owns what. But like,
I assume Snapchat is U.S., although I have no idea. I don't have a TikTok from my old music label. I occasionally get checks from royalties from people using our songs and videos and stuff. So that's the most involvement I have with it. But I can't stand TikTok, as Lauren said. I know people do true crime on there and news. I'm sure they're doing horror stuff on there, do everything. I always knew it as what Lauren said, which is just people doing synchronized dancing to overdubbed on songs and stuff. Some of the movie clips are cool, like me and Lauren were saying. We do like some of the famous lines and kind of lip them or whatever. But if there's one thing I needed Trump for, I was hoping to God that he would ban that app so I'd never have to hear about it. I think the bigger like conversation here, the bigger topic is like kind of what you guys like alluded to, which is our personal data. I remember Andrew Yang was talking about this a while back. Like the big deal at the time was Facebook, and you guys have named the other ones, X and such. And like what he was talking about actually made a lot of sense, which is like they should be paying us for our personal data.
Right.
And it should be protected. It should be the exact opposite, because what they do is you log in there, they save all your personal data. You get, you're talking about, hey, I want to get some Popeyes later, and then those Popeyes ads pop up on your phone right away. How does that happen?
You're right on, and there's nothing worse than like if I'm gonna go meet you guys for like at a Starbucks, and I walk by a dollar store, and then all of a sudden I get a chirp, and it's like, how was your experience at the dollar store? You're like, dude, like what? Like, come on, man. Like,
and what I'm saying is even worse. Like
for some like dirtiness. Don't freaking.
You're offended. They're spying on you for something so mundane.
Yeah, like come at me with something good, bro. Come on.
Yeah. And at least in that sense, you're walking by the store. I'm talking about like I just say it to Lauren in the room, and then my phone pops up with this stuff. I'm literally having how much of my conversation is it?
How many of us have strolled something on Amazon and then you go to your wall and it's are you still interested
nothing but
I literally a couple of years ago I was looking I was trying to buy a new lawnmower, and I was doing research online, finding like a good model, and I remember after I bought it, I kept getting them bombarded with ads, and I remember saying, is there a way for me to tell them, hey, I bought this already,
I don't need it
you
anymore.
can stop, like I'm not shopping for this item anymore?
Yeah, it's wild. So you know what I mean? Like I think at some point, you know, that's going to be a major political issue is the data mining, because they take all your data and then they sell it off to all these third party companies, and because you know they're always changing those little opt-in agreements. It's kind of like what Lauren referenced with TikTok. So again, I don't know anything about TikTok. I was just hoping they would ban it, but at the same time, China owning everyone's data, it doesn't make sense. So I can understand them wanting a U.S. owner. I do actually agree with that, even though I'm not a TikToker. So
I'm with that too. But if you blow TikTok up and it's never coming back, they're still going to get you on Facebook and all the others.
That's what I mean. It's not that different. And you talk about this all started. Let's not forget. Let's do a little history lesson. This all started with the peeling back of business regulations in the 80s under Reagan, and that's when you had. Before that, movie studios, there were very strict regulations on who could own movie studios. Sony, a Japanese company, owns Columbia Pictures, one of the only remaining major studios left. So let's not pretend that this is a current or recent thing. I mean, the data mining is...
Yeah, you brought up a massive point, though. So, I mean, how many PlayStation 3, 4s, and 5s are in households with a camera, probably recording your entire living room, and nobody brings that up?
It just so happens that Japan is a very strong ally of the U.S., and I'm sure that makes a difference.
Yeah. Similar concept for sure.
Without a doubt. Well, we'll see. Maybe we'll be revisiting this another time. Yeah, so, all right, now we're going to jump off of politics into something fun. Ross, I know this is right up your alley. You're going to have a lot to say. Dave, I don't know if this is your cup of tea. When there is good TV shows, and they are few and far between, I'm all about the writing and the storytelling. And one of them ended, not this month. I'm kind of backtracking to December 15th, but got to bring this topic up because this is just such a good show. Yellowstone came to an end. Ross, I know you briefly talked about this for a second, and I cut you off because I said I didn't see it. So I was such a guy that always I work out, and I go out. I literally, when the Wonder Years went off the air in like 93, 94, I was just out. Like I didn't see any. I never saw Seinfeld. I never saw Friends. There's so many shows. ER. I never saw a lot of that stuff. So I kept saying, one day, when there's a reason, when I'm old, most likely, I'm going to catch up on everything. But 2020 finally happened. After about 4 months in, all I kept hearing was about the show. And I'm like, I don't think like Montana's like going to work for me. But I gave it a shot, and I got right into it. And then I realized who the writer was, and I was like, oh, man, this guy knows his history.
Who's the writer?
This guy does all his research, Taylor Sheridan.
Yep.
It's ballpark. This guy's done Yellowstone, 1883, Lioness, the Stallone one, Tulsa King.
Tulsa King's sick.
Yeah. But I could jump in 1883. I think that might be the best one because
I agree.
It's the Oregon Trail story, basically of how for everybody who's running around saying, I know the world, blah, blah, blah. Learn to sacrifice for you before you start speaking what people went through. But what a great show. I just straight across Ross. I mean, this is this one amazing show, amazing characters. You got like 6 good characters that get a lot of airtime. You get all their backstory. You got you got your Daltons that are trying to protect this land that they've had for 7 generations. Yep. You got the Indian tribe who is basically saying, we're going to get your land back the American way. We're going to buy this out. We're going to run you out here one way or another. And then you got California basically coming and saying, nah, we're going to turn all this into a ski resort. And it's just so good. I could go on forever. Everybody loves Beth Dalton. Everyone who's ever laid eyes on her. Beth Dalton's so hot. When she was burnt, she was still hot after that. She really was. It's like, I don't care about that. He's just so hot.
Well, apparently she was very hot after that.
Yeah.
There you go. I see what you did there.
Ross, jump in here.
Okay.
We'll
Okay.
get to the ending because we might be a little different on that one.
Yeah, we'll be probably a little bit different on that. So so like Lauren said, yeah, I'm not up on everything, but I'm most up on most things that involve action or crime. So I put Yellowstone in that category somewhat. Absolutely love the first 4 seasons. The prequel, as Lauren said, which is it's Faith Evans, and who plays the lead? It's the
Tim
McGraw, is it?
Tim McGraw, yeah.
I didn't really know that guy had that kind of acting pedigree. Obviously, I know him from his music career. I was so impressed with that dude's performance in 1883.
Is that Faith Hill?
Faith, that's what I meant, Faith Hill. So that I think is the best prequel. The first 4 seasons incredible. Up until that point, Taylor Sheridan's writing incredible. There's also 1923, Lauren. I don't know if you caught up on that. That's
I saw it. I put that last place. That was the least interesting story. If someone wants to rip on that, I'm not going to really.
It's kind of mid. It's just average Yellowstone, but the whole. So it's about the Dutton family. Crime family, depending on who you're asking. Of course, I'm a Costner fan. Who isn't? I felt like it got unfocused, Lauren. After so as soon as Taylor start, I don't know if you know how much of the backstory Lauren, but Taylor and Costner have essentially a disagreement. It kind of ruined the show, in my opinion. I thought that so they split season 5 into 2 halves, and I thought that first half just kind of started getting repetitive. You could clearly see Costner was on his way out. I'll let Lauren kind of explain what happens. And
my biggest thing, because we're talking about, was this season 5, right? It wasn't season 6?
Yeah, so it's season 5 and then season 5 part 2. You call it season 6.
So you have that first part where Kevin Costner's in it, and then immediately once his character is written off the show, you do feel because it's about him, and he's
John
gone now.
Yeah,
but I have to say, I still liked it. I can't defend it. People are going to come down on it, but you got Casey and Monica's story. You got Rip and Beth. You got Jamie, which is the only thing I could say is you knew what was going to happen to Jamie. It was just when was it going to finally happen?
Yeah, for sure.
And I really love that wrap up at the end. I mean, them getting the land back and all that. Yeah. And I dug the whole. Did I tell you one thing, Ross? When they were pushing the tombstones over, I was screaming in my chair. I was like, come on, man.
That was wild. Yeah. I mean, again, so my ex-girlfriend's native, so I know a lot about the reservations and how these things actually, affect people. So I thought the natives were represented really well. That main character who does all the business with John, he's on
forgetting his name,
bodyguard dude. He always has with him. Amazing characters. Luke Grimes plays Casey. I really liked his arc earlier on when he just was kind of unleashing. He's a special operative, but comes home to defend the ranch. And then obviously Rip is Cole Hauser, who everyone should know him from Riddick, and just an amazing actor. But I gotta say, my honest opinion, and again, me and Lauren are open about this stuff, and I'm telling you guys, season 1 through 4, probably literally my favorite show at the time. How I felt about Walking Dead when it first came out, Lauren, that type of energy. But as Lauren said, Taylor Sheridan's now doing Landman with Billy Bob Thornton.
So good.
Tulsa King. I haven't seen that yet, but I gotta check it.
Tulsa
King with Stallone. I'm a Stallone fanboy. I'm Sicilian. From the East Coast, and then 1883 and 1923 and Yellowstone. I personally just think it's a lot on one dude's plate. He's an amazing writer, but I felt I could see him spreading himself.
He's about to. This would be up Dave's alley too, because he's a history buff. He's about to do a series on the Comanche.
Oh yeah, I think I heard.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, and about the woman leader too. I've heard whose name escapes me at the moment, but
the dude's an incredible writer. But it's just when you have 4 or 5 shows, that's not like when you were writing 2 or 3 shows.
He goes into just to jumping over here to Landman a second. He goes and breaks down people just don't understand energy, and he brings that all to the plate of you want to go fossil fuel over here, those big giant windmills they think are saving the world. They're running by diesel fuel. You're not saving anything.
There's electric cars. If the energy is created with fossil fuels,
you're refilling it. It's what I'm not one of them of people that says like we got to stick on gas and oil, and I understand we got to find something, but like we're not there yet.
Yeah, 100%.
We're not there.
Dave,
I've kind of been quiet here. I don't know if they're shut or is this your show or not?
No, so I have not seen a single episode of any of these.
Well, for Mr. History, I think this is something you might dig, dude.
No, it would, and it's one that I've always been aware of, and I've always heard good things about.
Next topic is still rather current. Hollywood is on fire. Ross, I could definitely lean on you. I realize you're in San Diego and you're 2 hours away, but you're closer to Dave from what me and Dave see on the news.
Yeah.
So I got to go back for a second, though, and say about 4 months ago when Trump was on Joe Rogan, he talked about how quickly this could escalate. About like you got to clean the debris and all this. And there was always the fire marshals
were just
just
right. It hadn't rained in months, and then I think there had been like the vegetation had grown and then dried out. Like,
how do you look? I don't. If liberal, and you want to save everything, cool, but you can't put yourself in danger like this.
Yeah.
Wow, like just wow, like the endless names of celebrities' homes. On top of that, I always stick up for the common man first, who has a house that's still terrible, but
yeah.
I mean, this affected everybody across the boards. I think it's going to heavily affect the next election. And I am more blown away of just how fast. I mean, 100 mile per hour winds sending this. Wow. Like, so Ross, you're closest. So I'll let you go first on this because you're the closest. But like, do you have any inside info or like more? You talk to more people to LA than me and Dave. So like,
yeah. I got a few friends up there. So we did have fires down here in San Diego too. We had nothing on that level, but we're not, like we said, about an hour and a half away. So we're not that far away. It is kind of right up the highway for us and just right here on the border. So there was a big one down in southern San Diego, Chula Vista. And we actually finally got rain for California, I guess, which was like 2 days of sprinkles. And then we had one kind of in the central San Diego area. So, but as you guys mentioned, almost 100-mile winds at time. It basically just created that inferno. And it had been mentioned before. I mean, there's a lot of factors. I mean, I'm not sure how much, sure there's preparation and stuff, obviously funding issues, but just kind of the same old usual things where you have, kind of these other natural disasters in other places. In the moment, I think it's just an extremely difficult thing to fix. It was kind of smoky down here, like we got kind of smoked out when you look up at the sky at the sun and you could literally see the smoke from LA. So, I mean, it's close enough. And then obviously the air pollution, alerts and stuff because of all the particles in the air from the fires. So, definitely sad for everybody that lost homes and, worse, lost lives and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just a horrible situation. I don't even know. I mean, they're going to have to obviously come up with some way to try to like mitigate this if it happens again. It's just one of those situations where I'm not really sure. They threw everything they had at it with the fire teams and the helicopters that dropped the water and other agents. I don't think that flaming Hollywood sign was actually real. I guess
no, it's not.
That's further up.
Yeah. I don't think it was close enough to it, but yeah, I just grabbed that because
so
many people thought that was real. I'm like, don't you think like there'd be more YouTube? Like that would have been like a huge.
It would have been on every news channel everywhere. I mean, that's basically for quite some time. That's what Well, it was on national news, obviously.
I mean, Ross, this affects you too, I believe, right? Or is it just an LA thing? The biggest thing now is like Adam Carolla. Everybody was talking, Bill Maher. Like it takes forever to get a permit to do anything in LA. So people are saying that if it stays this way, if our house is burnt down, we can't even start building for like 3 years from now. It's like unbelievable. Like
So Trump, I'm sure you all seen the back and forth. He kind of pressed Mayor Bass about it and said that he's going to fast track all the permits. Obviously, I'm for that. So I don't really live in LA. I don't really have the exact details on that stuff, but I think we've all kind of heard the same things in the headlines. And man, what a nightmare. Unfortunately, Lauren hooked me up with my John Philbin interview on my channel from Point Break Tombstone. And Lauren, when I hit him up, he's like, "Hey, we have no power, and we're in complete crisis." And I was like,
Wow.
"Damn, I hope I didn't just blow my interview because I just hit him up in the middle of a massive LA. Hey, man, want to be on my YouTube channel?" About the most, desensitized thing you could say. Obviously, he was fine and safe, which is good, and he did end up coming on a few days later. But
I was gonna say he definitely would remember that you hit him up then, like that would stick. Good or bad,
first impressions are everything,
memorable.
Right? But thank God he was safe. I mean, I told him if he needed anything, I'd drive up supplies for anybody who needs it up there, and that offer stands. If there's anyone who needs anything, LA water, whatever, you guys can still contact me. But
so you got all these homes that are gone. Where are the families staying? And like, more often, does the banks still want their money at the end of the month? Like, how does all this happen? Like, how are they going to handle this?
I mean, it's like a war zone. It's like when you have people displaced due to a bombing or
exactly.
Those videos. I am not a religious person, but the only way I can describe those videos I saw was like hell itself opened up.
Hell on earth.
That's what it looked like.
Like. Just yeah.
It was terrifying to watch.
I've seen other ones around, around my area. We call it Northern San Diego, North County, and it's a similar type of landscape, hilly and dry. And I've seen kind of those brush fires break out, but you just see the helicopter pull up and drop that water solution or whatever it is. And I've seen them spraying stuff. Seen some brush fires. That's like the closest I've ever been to it personally, but I can't even imagine this. I mean, it's just like I said, they're going to have to come up with something, because if they hit it, it does get dry here. I mean, it didn't rain for, I want to say like 8 months, 9 months, possibly more. I'm trying to like Google what the actual is, but in terms of like, Lauren knows how it is. It's arid, it's dry down here in Southern California, mostly desert. They're going to have to come up with some solution if they hit those 100-mile-per-hour winds in the dry season again. We're gonna have to figure something out.
I think you're gonna see people leaving. I think you're gonna just because they're gonna feel like it's not a safe place to be anymore. And as much as I want to blame and do, humans didn't make this happen. Like the winds and the fact that it is such a dry area, like part of the reason it burned so much so quickly was when it's 100-mile-an-hour winds, helicopters can't fly in there.
You're just swarmed. It's like trying to stop water. I know it's like kind of a fun weird analogy, but like trying to stop water.
So even if, like, yes, the city and the state were woefully unprepared for this, but even if they were as prepared as they should have been, I don't know how effective that would, like, it would have been slightly more effective, but it still would have been a devastating wildfire that would destroy all. Like, other than not being there, I don't know. I'm speachless.
I also say before we jump topics here, I saw a lot of people that I knew and a whole lot more people I didn't know. It was like half were like, "Oh God, this is terrible. I will call these people reasonable humans." What happened? Mm-hmm. There was so many people saying, "We'll let all those rich assholes burn," and like, you guys are horrible people for saying that. Like, they literally think it's like an NFL player, a Hollywood actor, this, like, that's not all LA is, folks. Like, yes, that's what the majority.
There's a lot of regular
family.
people.
Like, don't say that. Please think.
It wasn't even Beverly Hills, which a lot of people think. It was Pacific Palisades up to Malibu.
You think those firefighters are the rich Hollywood?
Yeah,
no, they're the ones actually there dealing with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, have a little bit more heart. Like, really think before you speak or something like that. That's just really rude. Like I have there's a lot of people as well I don't like, but like I don't think I'd wish any of them to lose their house, because I never want to lose my house. I mean, come on now.
I agree, 100%. It's a terrible tragedy.
Yep. All right, moving on to the next topic, and then we're going to start. Might be getting bumpy. We don't know. I don't know if you two are into this or not, but the WWE moved Raw from USA after what, like nearly 30, 40 years here to Netflix.
Wow.
Yeah. So now they're on a gigantic platform that they couldn't reach through, like, by staying on USA. First off, wow. First off, good for the business, but Ross, did you see this show?
I didn't see the show. I tend to catch some highlights and stuff of WWE. I loosely follow it.
Yeah, well, their logo, the product of the WWE is like the third most recognizable product in the entire world, and this was before before Netflix. So I'm curious just to see what happens, going forward, how much bigger this gets. Because one thing about Vince McMahon's dynasty here, like he took this worldwide. He always did. He's the guy that's like, we're going to Saudi Arabia. Like, yeah, we're going to perform there.
That opened it up for combat sports. That went way beyond wrestling. So,
yeah.
Is Netflix going to accidentally show all the wrestlers' asses like they did Mike Tyson in that fight? That's my question.
The funniest thing I've ever heard Dave say.
When that happened, the cameraman clearly knows what he was wearing. There's no way he didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he walked up wearing that.
Yeah, like he walked up. So like, it had to have been the producer was like, yo.
Yeah, no, it wasn't the cameraman. It was the guy on the switch that didn't hit it when he was supposed to hit it to switch camera angles.
Yeah. It's Mike Tyson. He doesn't care.
Yeah, he probably didn't care at all. Did he even comment on it? I don't even think he cared.
I mean, they paid him, was it $20 million? So, yeah.
Like, that part was in 4K. None of the rest of the fight was, but that part was.
Yeah, that was the highlight of the event, right? Yeah, so I'll tell you a couple of the rumors, Lauren. You have a wrestling pedigree, but that Vince is going to start a WWE competitor. So I think that's just barely.
Let me tell you something about Vince McMahon. No matter what anybody thinks, the guy, he's like Trump. Like you're not going to beat this guy. You could knock him down for a little bit, but Vince McMahon was a guy for the last 40 years, like sleeps 2 hours a day.
Isn't he like 80 or something?
He's close to 80.
I know he's up there.
I mean, he's so freaking close. But Vince is someone who just loves competition. He loves his back against the wall. And you always hear Paul Heyman say he loves confrontation. He loves if someone stops and says he lives on that. So I think the fact that his product, and he's got his own family kind of going against him, like I don't know which for. Because when Stephanie McMahon was in Philly for the WrestleMania, which is me and Dave's country here, she came out and says, I'm so excited for the Paul Levesque era. Like, that was a shot at her father going forward. And me, this guy has more money than probably WWE combined. So I think he's going to do it. Whether he buys AEW or buys, something or builds something from the ground up. Vince ain't done until he's in his grave. That's what I think Vince McMahon.
He won't be, because the Grim Reaper, again, you said he loves confrontation. He'll fight the Grim Reaper.
He's 79.
Vince McMahon's so he's 1 year away.
Yep.
And good, Lauren.
No. I just said, like, and it's already talked about, like, this case thing is getting dropped. Like, if anyone knows the case and stuff, like, my biggest thing is, like, so she accepted money to have sex. Like, yo, if you want to prostitute yourself out, the only thing he got in trouble was he was paying her with, I think, company money. Like,
it was the embezzlement, because that. Yeah.
Like the part of like what they're saying he was doing, like, yo, whatever the hell you're into, like, I don't care what you two or anyone was listening into. Like, that part don't bother me. Like, I was kind of like,
you got to use your own money. You got to be like Alexander Hamilton and use your own money to pay off your affair.
Yeah. I see it. So
it's for all the Hamilton fans watching.
Lesson there. And the other rumor, Lauren, obviously WWE and UFC are under the same umbrella now. This major company is that UFC is going to follow them over to Netflix. So that's going to be an interesting environment. I mean, I follow up on UFC and MMA a lot closer than I do wrestling, but I definitely dabble in a little bit of wrestling here and there.
And Denver owns both of them. That's who owns the UFC, WWE.
It's where the audience is nowadays. How many people still have cable anymore? But I'm surprised they didn't move to Netflix years ago.
Yeah, I have pretty late.
I have a flex box. So let me tell you something.
You're one of those guys.
Listen. My cable bill and everything is like $86 a month. Okay, I got Tubi, I got my YouTube, I got Amazon and AMC. That's total. That's all I get up there. And if I could maybe like Pluto TV and stuff like that, like I don't watch anything. But I knew you all knew this was eventually going to happen because they're looking at people aren't going to the movies the way they used to, and it's streaming. So I could see them easily, like UFC, like you want to go where the best is, and obviously Endeavor, the WWE, has ties to the Netflix. Well, why not bring UFC over?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting stuff for sure. As for the state of WWE, no, I thought the Cody and Roman Reigns stuff was cool last year. We'll have to see how things turn out this year.
Absolutely. All right,
streaming though.
Talk about dropping topics, jumping topics here. Okay, we're about to go way in a different direction. I got a lot I can say on this. I've seen Dave definitely already has. Ross, I'm sure you'll have your own comments. Let's talk about the almighty Elon Musk. All right, guys, let me just jump in here. Overall, that wasn't very good, Elon. No, that wasn't good at all. But let me just jump in here and say, this is the guy that's most likely, possibly could save mankind by getting us to another planet. This guy is a workhorse. What a brain on him. Clearly, he's artistic. This guy is he's our Tesla. He's our Edison of our era. I can't stop taking my eyes off the dude with what he's going to do next. So I guess I'm saying I'm an Elon fan. Just going to throw that out there. This is a guy that was against Trump, was all Democrat, and then started saying like, yo, this empire needs to get broken down. I'm not like what I'm seeing. He puts his money where his mouth is, buys Twitter, sees all the dirt, changes it, free form, helps Trump get into office, goes up there. And this is where I think he lacks a little bit of the brain here. Just because you're smart and can figure out business and everything doesn't mean you have the best social skills.
100%.
So his last words of like, you're in my heart, he could have maybe just did this. I just think he got carried away in the moment, and now you're going to have this bad stigma attached to you for freaking ever and ever. And I get the other side wants to go run with that all they want. I'm sorry, I've got to jump in. The Third Reich's not coming back, and Elon's not fun to get. Like, everybody calm down. You want to attack him for doing that? I'm standing over here. He deserves that part. But, like, calling him racist, no, I don't believe it. The guy employs thousands of people for every creed. Stop it, everybody. Dave, I'll give you the first head on this because I know you had a right to say whatever you want here.
No, I mean, I've not been the biggest fan of his, I will say. And it's more so, I think I don't disagree with you about what he's doing, like with SpaceX, I think is legitimately groundbreaking. I think you're right. It's going to lead the species to go to other planets down the road, years after he's gone, centuries after we're all gone and all that. I don't think he's actually a Nazi, but I think he's a troll and he can't help himself sometimes. And I think if he put the same effort into the SpaceX stuff that he does into this other stuff over here, we'd get to Mars faster. But I think he gets in his own way, and I think he can't, like, the fact that he deflected it. He made some post about like where he used all the Nazi high-ranking names as like puns, and it's like, dude, just be like, oh, hey, yeah, no, that's not what I meant, but I can see why you thought it was, but it's not, my bad. But I don't think he's capable of doing that.
I get your point of view on that one, dude. Totally. I'm more about like I just said, this guy. Seeing what this guy's going to do for mankind and all that, but the back up of what you just said and fully support what you just said, Dave, he trolled a little bit there. Like, he did that to get a rise out of it. He was the guy that went into the Eagles Stadium and said, I like Dallas. Like, that's just what he did.
He can't not. And again, here's the thing. History, you talk about Edison, you talk about Tesla. There's some messed up things in their past. I've
And-
studied
and-
history.
And Tesla died broke. Like that's even more crazy.
History, we think of history as we want it to be Lord of the Rings, where here's the clear good guys and here's the bad guys. When in reality, history is Dune. History is Game of Thrones. You have all these different figures, characters that are three-dimensional. And it's possible that I can think he's personally, like, I can dislike him as a person, but still acknowledge, well, the work he's doing is very important, but I don't have to like him personally to acknowledge that, if that makes sense.
Well, to me, that's like we'll get to the next up, but that's like someone who looked at the far left, how weak they were. But sometimes you got to send the asshole in to get the job done, as we just did. Like sometimes, like
100%.
it's like it's also like a hockey player that's a goon that everybody hates. But the minute he gets traded to your team, like, oh, he's going to protect the finesse. That's my guy.
The enforcer.
Yeah. Like the enforcers are only liked by the home team. That's it.
100%.
You're hated through the league because you're a threat. You're a threat.
I wish he thought that, like when he bought Twitter and there was that whole fiasco with the blue check marks, and people were paying for blue check marks and impersonating companies, and then companies, like, their stock prices went down because they were making like absurd announcements. That right there is where it's like, no, like, I see what you're trying to do and I'm all for free speech, but like, think this through first.
Yeah.
And he did, and like he saw the error and was like, okay, no, we're gonna fix it, but let's not stumble so much to get there.
Yeah, God, yeah, but he's also a guy. I think he did it again. He control, and like, dude, when you have that much money, you are the richest man in the world. Like,
well, yeah, it's hard to be, you know, to
know that you have access though to IMs from everybody from the world in the world.
Yeah,
you have power. Like, to me, the guy's just having a good time and with that. But the one thing I love about him being part of this current administration is I've always said, like, why is it this some guy in a suit like that's a politician? Like if there's a military problem in this world, the best military people should be the ones running it. And obviously you got to speak to your president about it, but I don't think the president should be the one ever making the charge. Like, the military should be doing what's best for that. NASA, if there's something going on in the sky, like, the president shouldn't be making the call. NASA knows what's going on there. So I look at when it comes to spending and business, I want him or Jeff Bezos or whoever the guy is that the main people are to be in charge. And this is what I like a lot that he's involved now. Like, he's there to basically lead the way or at least be a part of it or put bad ideas in check. Yeah. I like that. Like, I'm about less government. I'm always going to be about less government and stuff, but you got to get the right people in there.
I agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
And it's still very early to kind of see how that's going to play out.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. I don't think anybody.
It's been 8 days.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Donnie definitely did a lot in the last. We got to give him that part, but we'll get to that momentarily. Ross, any other final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, so with the large egos involved in this scenario, we come dangerously close to like the too many cooks in the kitchen. Elon, I've kind of I've shifted. Like, I used to be a big fan of him. Everything Lauren says stand. I'm a huge fan of like SpaceX, NASA, putting humans on Mars. I mean, that's, I grew up with all the same sci-fi movies as all the rest of us. Me and Elon probably, have pretty similar personalities, which is why we would butt heads. Like, he plays Diablo 4, I play Diablo 4. He used to play Destiny, I used to play Destiny. So we have like similar interests. As far as him like wading into the politics, I'm really not a big fan of that. I mean, as for the gesture he made at the rally, I don't really think that he would really like do that to offend all like Americans or whatever. So like Lauren said, I think he kind of got caught up in the moment, made a ill-advised gesture. As far as him trolling with the post that Dave mentioned, I didn't even hear about that. But, the guy owns Twitter, formerly Twitter, now X. So we know he's a troll. But yeah, I mean, I guess I like what he stands for. I was always like a big fan of Tesla, a big fan of SpaceX, but he's just got annoying to me in recent years, honest opinion. Like, I can't stand what he did to X. Like my timeline is a mess now. Like I just
all
I see now are just spam of people I don't even follow. Like I preferred the old Twitter. That's just me. And we'll see how the White House thing goes, because I don't think that the two of them are going to last. The idea of Doge, as Lauren said, small government, genius, love it. Cut all the trim, all the pork barrel fat, and all the the Pentagon failed 7 audits. We have no idea where that spending's going. So sure, go audit everybody. Of course, I agree with that.
I'm curious if the other side's like let them two's egos like self-implode.
on
the other side, don't say anything. Just let them play together.
Like Ken Watanabe and Godzilla. Let them fight.
Yes.
And
I don't think it'll last. That's my prediction. I don't
they
think it'll
both
last,
have giant egos, and we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah.
You got her. All right, we are going to move on to the last one of the last 2 topics. One we're all gonna 3 of us agree on, and before we get to the last one. We recently lost one of the best directors of all time.
Absolutely.
We lost David Lynch. We'll say for the record, I've said this on multiple podcasts. Me as a film director, my favorite directors were John Hughes and David Lynch. You can see how similar they are, but you can see how both world. But David really is a horrible loss for. We have our Scorsese's or Spielberg. Everybody. You want to go down the list, great, but David is on that list, and he's one of a kind. There's really
he's his own category.
Yes,
there's no other director that was anywhere remotely close to what he.
I made a movie called Drawn In. I know Ross just recently saw it. That was like my closest I could get to David Lynch. It was like 10 years ago. It's just a film score. Like you see the story and take what you want out of it. It's a messed up story, of course.
Sure, man.
But I wish at the beginning, I was like, I want to just be David Lynch. And I kept trying. I'm like, just stop it. It's like,
because there's only one David Lynch.
Yes, that is. Just stop it. Like I'm filming French fries and I'm putting in a movie. Like, that's just he can do it. I can't do this. Like he can make the French fries look interesting. I can't
look incredible. Yeah, for sure.
But oh my gosh, from like Wild at Heart to the Great Blue Velvet and the big piggyback off when we talked about Dune. I was very anti going to see Dune because I loved his version of Dune. You want to say it's dated? I'm not going to argue, but I love how he took you into that world. And I still think Kyle's still my, he's still my Paul Atreides. He's over the
there's a charm to it because it's dated.
Yes.
Like it feels of its era. And how ambitious was it of him? Let's adapt this with the technology we have in 1984.
And for the time, like you thought it was like the greatest movie ever. I mean, once you sit on a few years, you look back, you're like, all right, this is a little, but I thought he took you to that world. I thought he did that really good justice. And I felt bad because I heard he didn't even go to the premiere because he didn't like the edit.
Yep.
This is like that. Dune was like a movie he got insulted over. He's like, this isn't my vision.
Yep. Studio friction. It happens a lot.
I think that was one of his larger budget films that he did have to work in the studio space for.
And go ahead.
I was gonna say no. Eraserhead is still one. I've watched it several times now, and it's I relate to it more now as a parent. But the first time I saw it, I'm like, what the hell is this? But I'm intrigued.
Could I just stop everybody here and say, take Mulholland Drive and have someone else direct that? You're turning that off in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like David just like every bit of dialogue of every actor in there, you're kind of just, all right, what's this mean? What's next? Like, but I think you take any other director, you'd be like, this is stupid. Like, turn this off. What the hell's the point of this movie? Like he just had a way of drawing you in.
Absolutely.
Every character mattered. And what a brilliant, and he always got me. A lot of times he got me. Like, I remember at the end of Mulholland Drive, I remember I stopped. It's like, everyone just shut up. And like, I was like, I had to go in my corner and think. And I was like, all right, I don't know what happened. What happened? I had to explain to me. Like, I was
that's my favorite movie. I mean, that's my favorite moment after watching a movie is trying to internalize it,
But how spoiled are we with like just Captain Obvious, or obviously the worst about movies when you could predict the ending. Like David Lynch, you didn't know. You didn't know Lost Highway. Like you didn't know anything this guy was going to do next.
Nowadays, you watch a trailer and they show you the 5 main scenes, and that was the beginning, that was and they showed you the whole movie on a trailer. Nowadays, they're 10 minutes long, so you won't get that.
Could you imagine? We could stop. Maybe I'm sure David knows this. I don't know if you do, Ross. Can we just take an action beat here? Because there's this infamous story. You can look it up on YouTube. There's a lot of videos on it, and the actual David talking about this, but. George Lucas offered him Return of the Jedi. Did you guys know that?
I didn't know that.
I did hear that.
The story of that is just hilarious. But could you imagine if he took that on?
Dude.
What an insane Return of the Jedi that would have been.
It would have been awesome.
Yeah, it would have been.
It would have been awesome. I would have loved it.
I think he would just have been focused in Jabba's lair. Like I could just see the he would just be focusing on what's going on, like people dancing. Like it would just be like repeat it, like going back to the dancing person.
Yeah, I love there's that clip of him that went viral. He was directing a scene and someone was like, "Oh yeah, I just think this scene's going a little long. We might want to trim it back." And he got pissed. He's like, "Why? No, just who decides how long a scene needs to be? Like, shut up and we're just doing." Like he didn't mince words. And
no,
I think as great as he was a director, I think people forget. He was really funny. He guest starred on Louie. It was a 3-episode arc where Louie was training to be like a late night host. And David Lynch played the guy he was working with. And he had just this incredibly dry, deadpan delivery. And it's one of my favorite episodes because Louie's going through all this and he's trying to impress David Lynch. And he's just not impressed, and it's hilarious that he's not.
Lynch is perfect for that.
He's good. There's a cool Saturday Night Live sketch about him where Martin Short played him, and oh my gosh, it's good because it's in black and white, and he's got the whip of the hair and everything. It's really good if you guys check it out on YouTube and all that. But I also have to say, this is more Ross for me and David here, but David had a run in Philadelphia. Yeah, he has a Philadelphia ties here. Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
I
University of
didn't
New
know
York.
that either.
Yes, and Delaware was another thing. He was here for a while. He went to film school and was like, I don't need this, basically. I'm better than this. And they're like, yeah, sure. Well, he was.
Just the fact that his last name is an adjective that, this film is very Lynchian. Other than Hitchcock, I can't think of another director whose name is an adjective to describe, what a movie is like.
We're moving on to the last topic, which has something to do with the 20th this past month. This will be the last topic of the night. The return of Donnie to the White House. I will take the floor here for a second and just let me jump up here and say I was a Democrat. Then I switched to the Independent Party about 12 years ago. So you're either kind of independent right-leaning or independent left-leaning. I lean towards Donnie at the moment. I'll just come out and say that. I just got to jump up here first, regardless of what anybody says. This is the greatest comeback in American history, or at least the last 100 years, to have the entire world attempt to cancel you, to have every news outlet in the world except for one trying to take you down, and to flip that and make a comeback. And really the comeback guy was let the other side do their policies.
Yeah, hang themselves.
It's not working. It's not working. We're going with him. And not only was this not close to the flip the Senate and flip the House and hit all the swing states. It doesn't matter what your group of friends say, we're still the smarter ones. The world did not like the last administration, did not like the way the world was going. And I'll say one more thing before I let you guys roll here. Dave knows this, being a history guy. History repeats itself. 76 to 80, we had another really wimpy, nice guy as a president. It didn't work. You got 12 years of Republican after that. And I really think if I'm just say okay, what would I do if I was the Dems? You got to change stuff. You got to, because what 100%. You did annoyed people to a point. People got tired and burnt out. It was the same playbook. Maybe there's things in there people that now that are listening like that they loved about it. Fine, but the rest of the world didn't agree.
100%.
With that, Dave, you go first.
So I've always considered myself I'm a left-leaning centrist. I refuse to be a part of either party. I didn't wear blue on purpose. That was just.
Can I just jump in before I have to jump in because I like where you're at? To me, if you're a Republican or a Democrat, the thinking's done for you.
100%.
Yeah, because you're
This is why I always be independent because there could be a time, I don't know when, that I think the Dems are the shit again. Like, yeah, but you gotta get away from these Republicans. But
agreed.
Yeah, like think. I'm not a new. I like to go out and see the world. If I have a question about something, whatever the topic is, I want to go to the topic. I don't want secondhand information.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, full disclosure, I'm generally, I don't agree with him on, politics and personalities aside, just policy. I tend to lean the other way. But I think to your point, the Democrats, it's not working and they're stumbling. And as someone who's voted for them, I'm very frustrated that they don't have their act together. That
their playbook.
You said throw
100%.
in the jerk. I'd like to talk to you about Lyndon Johnson.
Go for it.
Lyndon Johnson. He was president, after JFK was shot. His his legacy is tarnished by Vietnam, and that's kind of what he goes down in history for. But he's also one of the most progressive presidents. He does a lot for disenfranchised people. He does a lot of again, just policy things, domestic policy that I think modern day liberals would be for. Kind of similar personality to Trump, though. He was known for using the quote unquote the Johnson method, where he would follow people into the bathroom and intimidate them into passing his bill.
Got him.
He would be quote, he'd be canceled today for the same reasons, that they tried to do Trump. He said insane things. He was even more loose with racial slurs. It was the 60s. So, things he said.
Look at Woodrow Wilson. I mean, you really could go past and say there's
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Bad people.
100%.
Yeah.
But my point is, I think you're right. It wasn't working. I stand here. I look back at history. We are on the precipice of something new. I know everyone's, obviously the people who supported him are thinking, oh, we're moving in a good direction. Things are going to get better. I can't say that I agree that. I can't say that I think that will happen, but I really hope I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong about it, and I would love to see that play out. But really what I'd love to see is the Democrats actually get some balls and actually get someone who's going to do kind of what he does, but in passing policies they care about.
Yeah, steamroller.
I think, though, they could have. I thought the Dems were done dirty because you should have had some sort of you could have had some sort of an emergency vote of like when Biden was
yeah, and I mean
convention.
To me, the you guys would have had a way better shot. Say you guys, but the Dems if they had like Shapiro in there, I thought would have been.
I was shocked. Kamala didn't. They talked about Pennsylvania's the most
Kamala
was how did she not pick him?
Because she didn't want to get outshined. She didn't want to get outshined by a VP.
Get outshined, and like I don't want to pull this race thing going on here, but you had this like free Palestine and the Jewish kids and at the colleges being attacked and stuff. And it's like, well, he's Jewish. I didn't understand that's why my mom's like, Elon's this. I'm like, well, what about all the students that were getting beat up at Harvard for just being Jew? The Dems were just so all over the place. I don't think they could have won. I do like Shapiro because I said I'm Indy. I will go where I think it's good.
And I think he's probably their best shot because come 2028,
him and JD will be a good war. I think that'd be a good
it would be
young, and youthful.
Yeah. Keyword.
I just want to point out that Bill Clinton is like a couple years younger than Trump. And he was president 30 years ago.
I know.
That's insane.
That's insane, man.
That's insane to me.
That's insane, dude.
It was just a bad campaign because Donald Trump was banned from a lot of the talk shows. So he got over on where the real news of the world is. Right here,
podcasting circuit.
The fact that she wouldn't go on Joe Rogan or that he had to go to her, and it was only like 30 minutes. Like you were basically saying she's not qualified, the talk long. And anytime I saw her talk, it was just knocking at Trump, but she wouldn't say policies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you weren't selling me on that, even if I wanted to vote for her. I top it all off. Her neck age is like 30 years older than her face. I don't know what's
No, I think she was in her defense, she was set up to fail.
Yeah.
Why would the party want to fail, though? Why would they want to throw her in there to fail? Were you just married we can't get rid of her because she's a woman and of color or something? I didn't know what was the deal.
The problem with the Democrats, they can't agree on what they want.
Exactly. Because
I think they're so preoccupied with virtue signaling and with I'm a better ally than you because I'm going to cancel you for this, and this. They need to be unified, and they frankly they need someone like a Shapiro or like a Lyndon Johnson who's going to say, you know what, I'm fighting for your guys' policies. Shut the hell up and let me do it.
Yeah.
This is why they're fully they're on the back porch now between the House and the Senate. And I'm telling you, Trump reality he ain't coming back. It's 4 years. He's out. So he's really got 2 solid years because you can't guarantee you're going to own the House and Senate in 2 years. Nope. So he's got 2 years to do whatever he wants.
It usually does flip back the other way.
Usually. I mean, if you get enough people that are, but I mean, you got a lot of people that were bitter. There was a lot of people like me. If you were telling me 4 years ago, I'd be talking like I am now. No, not that I'm going crazy or anything, but I was all about. I didn't want to shake my friends up because I love everybody. Mm-hmm. So I was like, when somebody had a political comment, I just said, cool. Anyway, you want to go hang out with that cat over there? It's kind of cute. I didn't anything the topic, but I just think a lot of the world that was afraid to speak up sat there with acid in their mouth for 4 years waiting to pull that lever. And that is another reason he is in that office right now.
But it's going to come down to what happens he's in. And much like, when Biden came in 20, deliver. Or the voters will be just as quick in 2028.
Exactly. Very fickle.
Flip it back.
Well, yeah. But I also look at the election overall as this is the best we got, huh?
Yeah.
No. It's
look, I liked Andrew Yang. I wanted him to run.
No, but
I wanted him to.
But this is an analogy for you got everybody else listening right now. So the Dems, they're your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whoever you're dating. I'm a Dem, okay. Oh, I don't like what they're doing. You cheated on me. So I'm going to come over here and join the Republican. Yeah, you're great. Wait. Oh, you cheated on me too. I'll go back to my old girlfriend. Are you kidding me? I wanted them you both cheated on me. I don't want to align with either one of you.
We're never going to have a third party.
They're not even allowed to debate.
The problem.
And the Dems and the Republicans have that set up that no Jesse Ventura or anyone who is a third party.
The establishment.
That's amazing.
It's the 50% plus one majority rule needed to win. If you get 40% of the vote, even if you got more votes than everyone else, you need that 50% plus one. It's what happened to Andrew Jackson in 1824, the corrupt bargain of 1824. You had multiple candidates running. Jackson wins the most votes, but it's not over that 50% majority threshold. So it goes to the Senate, and they vote John Quincy Adams in because he was more their guy, and he, Nepo baby. He was the son of the second president. As long as that's in place, third parties really are just kind of there for show. And I hate that that's the way that it is.
Yeah. Yep. Jackson was scum, by the way. I like Dave because he knows his history, and me and Lauren are big into that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I agree with point. Like I said, like I'm big on Second Amendment, right? But like I'm also a cannabis activist. Like those two don't gel, so I guess that kind of puts me independent.
The neocons aren't big on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I can't stand Trump. I find his personality absolutely obnoxious and abhorrent. That being said, he's extremely entertaining. The guy is absolutely hilarious. I can not like him and acknowledge those things at the same time. You know what I mean? But if I had to make a prediction, I would say that like he's not probably going to have as much time as he thinks he has, as Dave was saying, before the people will turn on him. And I think they're going to do a lot like his first term, a bunch of deregulation. It's probably going to spin up the economy in the short term. But in another 2 years, I mean, we're already having shortages of eggs with the bird flu. I went to Whole Foods yesterday. They were totally out of eggs. So I don't know if that's a SoCal thing or whatever, but, prices are skyrocketing.
I don't think that's going to matter who the president was. If there's like a flu, the health board's got to approve all that. We just kind of got to wait this egg thing out.
For sure. I mean, I'm not saying that that's a central thing, but COVID did tank Trump's first term, So,
no, it did. And I think he did a real bad job of handling it. I can't blame him for the fact that it happened.
Mm-hmm. On the other hand, like Lauren was saying, like I'm like if I was a Democrat and he talked about LBJ, I'm a 60s, JFK, RFK Democrat. As Lauren said, it's been quite a long time since that age has passed. I do support RFK. I like seeing him working with Trump. So that's probably.
I'm going to jump in here, what you just said there about too. It's about time there's someone with muscles in charge of our health. I just got to say that. I am such a person about like, I'm not talking about just America. Go around the world and look at the leaders of who is. They're all out of shape and terrible. I had to think about. I've been in martial arts a long time. Look at your martial art teacher that when you're jumping, you're going to go sign up. If they're not in shape, why would you want to learn from them?
Right.
It's like I just think Kennedy.
I never thought of that, but I've not seen many martial arts teachers. That's why I don't know.
No, there's some that are like
Steven Seagal.
I think like 7 out of 10 of them are really like they keep themselves together and all that. But there is like sometimes you walk in, you're like. I'm not paying you to teach me.
Exactly. You haven't taught yourself.
Yeah. So I just think practice what you preach. I really like the fact that he's talking about getting all the food dyes out. Now listen,
and again, that's something left and right should be unified on.
Agreed.
I think in the end, I mean, listen, we can keep talking about this as the months go on. I think Trump's going to go out a little more on top than people think. I don't think the guy just is going to be this head hunting. I think he's really trying to say, like, I want to have a good legacy. And that's what I think the guy's doing. That's just one man's opinion. And I think he's going to try to why does he need months from now to be taking jabs at the other side when, like, they're not a threat to him?
Yeah, they're non-existent.
You know what I mean? Like, just do your job, see what happens.
Like Elon, his ego gets in his way sometimes.
Well, I'm not telling you there's going to be some moments.
He stumbles over.
Yeah.
But there's one thing I got to say. One thing. Every one of us, if a bullet freaking ever comes flying at our head, none of us are getting up. That's one of the most hardcore moves. Like a guy in his 70s got up from being shot. And I hate when people are like, oh, it was all plot and it's all fake. Like 2 people are dead from that, man. Like stop it. Like people, including the shooter. It's like, the media, the way they riled people up. There's some 20-year-old kid that's dead and thought he was doing the world justice by attempting to kill a president-elect. Like wow. Things just got way out of hand. I just hope everybody could calm down a little more. Like at least regardless, he ain't going nowhere. So, like, breathe, enjoy your life a little bit. It's a great country here, man. It really is.
It's going to be interesting to see how his health holds up for the full term because 78 years old. I mean, it's
You're right, but
he's another guy that's too stubborn to.
I think
Vince McMahon.
He's Vince McMahon. That's what I'm gonna say. Like
of politics.
I think Trump will be out of when he leaves office. We'll go start a new Apprentice, and he's just going to run around. I'm the greatest president ever. Check out my new show over here. It's #1. It's great.
Yeah, the Trump Network, another streaming service.
Yeah, he'll do something. But in reality, Trump didn't need to do this, and he didn't need to make a comeback. Yeah. The guy did everything in the world. He started one term. Did he really need to come back? I mean. The guy has nothing to gain. He could just live off his money and have fun, but he wants to do this.
I was just going to say that I do agree with, even though I don't support the red wave or the other than maybe the Second Amendment, probably any other conservative policies, but I agree with Lauren 100%. I'm a realist. It was the best comeback or at least like you said in the 100 years. Now I'm not
since Grover Cleveland.
I support
the other swing states president to serve 2 non-consecutive terms.
For sure. And I'm a realist. I can't not acknowledge reality, right? This isn't CNN. Yep. So even though it wasn't the direction I personally wanted to go in, that being said, a lot of the things he said lately are making a lot of sense. Get rid of the income tax. I mean, the problem with Trump is he puts out 500 of these announcements a day. So I don't know how many of them are actually actionable in policy because we're talking about the U.S. government now where everything's 99% gridlock.
He didn't even have a party. He went and started sitting down and signing. I think it was 26 amendments in like a day. I think he's done the most.
The EOs, executive
orders. Yeah.
I used to teach government. One odd byproduct of this is we're seeing government in action and like how it works. And it's interesting to see people actually talking about what I used to teach. Like, an executive order can't override a constitutional amendment because only a new amendment can do that. And here's how you do an amendment.
Constitutional law, yeah.
If nothing else, people are talking about what I used to teach, and that's the silver lining. That's something that I like to see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a policy guy, like Lauren said. So even when the other side is in the office, again, I'm independent, but from my perspective, the other side is in office. When they pass policies that I support, I obviously, I'm happy with that. Mm-hmm. They've talked about constitutional carry in all 50 states. I'm a CCW holder in California. I obviously support that. So like, I can't say I'm at odds with everything that comes out of his mouth, and we'll just have to see how some of the policies play out. Any of them actually work, No
matter what side of the fence, if you were a Republican or a Democrat, I don't care who you are. You cannot be that married to a team of not saying, well, over there, I do like this and this, but I'd rather these 20 on this side. Like that's why I said everybody should really be independent, because it's like
they should be, and it's like the far left and the far right. You go to the extreme. It's not a line; it's a circle, because the further you get to the extremes, extreme is they're just like each other. They're brainwashed. Exactly. You have
mirror image.
You have the people beating up the Jewish kids in the school, and then you have the Trump cultists. That it's like he can do no wrong, and it's like you both.
You had that. You had that in the Dems. So one of the things that set me up was like when they would do something wrong, they would never acknowledge it. It was just like back to Trump. Like, well, you guys, it's human error. You did this over here. It didn't work. You can't admit it. Like, I just didn't understand. I think another reason people pulled the lever the other way. People were like seeing stuff like, neither party is going to ever have it right. It's just, is it right enough for you?
And that's really what you have to be critical. If you're not critical of your own side, you're not thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to be critical of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
People change as they age. Like if you were to tell me for a second, I'd be sticking up for the Republican side when I was in my 20s and my early 30s. You're out of your freaking mind. It's just whatever. New ideas. It's great. It's great. Then when you get older, you're kind of like, I've seen some of this. I appreciate it, but it's getting ridiculous. And you start to start going a little more, because that's this life, but that's also changing as like human. Mm-hmm. You're the same person you are in your 20s and 30s, that you've wasted your life. Like,
you show no growth.
Yes,
You know
you don't know growth that evolved as a person. So who knows? But this was an awesome segment, boys. And I also like to say, anybody who's watching this, you can feel free to drop as many positive or negative comments you want. I will respond to every single one of them. And I also like you to notice that we all talked about politics and we didn't scream at each other. I just like to throw that out there. We just had three guys.
I held it in. I held it.
There's still next month. Let's hope February's less eventful. Let's hope there's fewer topics.
Well, it's a shorter month, so we'll figure it out. But with that, again, everybody, please hit that subscribe button and drop as many comments as you want. I will always I answer every single one of them. New show drops every Monday morning. That's on Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. And then with that, Ross, feel free to plug your world there.
Yeah, for sure. YouTube.com/Planet X Film. Go do subscribe if you want to get really deep. You can check out the Patreon. I'm on X. I am on Instagram. All the links are on my channel, so just go pop over there.
David, go for it there, friend.
And I'm just, on YouTube at Halloween Year Round everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and yes, TikTok.
Sweet. Well, with that, I was also announced that right now the ending credits is now my film dictionary, where you could find and watch any of Average Superstar Films programs. So feel free to check that out. And with that, I will say the party is over.